Hey everybody, today we're going to be taking a deep look into some of my favorite and some of the most classical horror movie killers and giving them an overall. If you don't know what an overall is, for instance, if you've ever played NBA 2K or FIFA, their overall is the number that represents how good or skilled they are. So you might be asking yourself, how are we going to give killers from movies overalls? Well, there's going to be 5 different categories: how stealthy they are, how cool or original their way of killing are, how original their personality and background are, how unique their weakness, and of course, how cool they look. Now, with all that being said, let's just hop into it. Let's start with one of the most infamous killers, Freddy Krueger. Starting with the stealth, I'm going to give him a solid 89. The reason for not being higher is simply because he's only really in a dream for the most part. He is very stealthy compared to his counterparts because he can literally just change into anything. For the mode of killing, I'm going to give him a 91. Now, listen. Of course, his hand claws are probably one of the coolest killing mechanisms there are, but he kind of shares the claws with someone else I know. I can't really remember his name, but I'm sure it'll come to me. Next is the background and personality. I'm giving Krueger 85. His personality is one of the best in the original series with his mild humor, but his background is what kind of brings it down. Yes, it's very, very original, but the whole inside of it is a little bad to talk about on YouTube, so if you don't know, just Google it. Now for his weakness, I find it only fitting that it's at 95. His only weakness is really being dragged into the real world. Yes, if everyone forgot about him, then he'll never be seen again, but let's just say he's out killing again and everybody is thinking of him and being afraid. The only real way to kill him is to drag him out of the dream into the real world and kill him, basically like in Freddy vs. Jason, but he didn't really die at the end of that, so I guess we don't know. And of course, one of the most important things of being a killer is how cool you look. For Freddy, easily, it's a 97. I mean, look at this man. He is burnt to a crisp, and he has a flame-ass sweater that is internationally worn by every horror fan. So that leaves Freddy with an average overall of about 91.4, which means, obviously, we're going to round down. It's going to be a 91 overall. Continuing with the classic horror villains, next up is Michael Myers. When we think about Michael Myers, I feel like the first thing most people think about is his stealth. Michael always uses stealth to get to his victims and take them out one by one. For that, I'm going to give him a solid 90. But I will say his sorts of killing is what holds him back a little bit. For using the kitchen knife that we've seen literally everywhere, he is getting a sad 7. Yes, it's very, very iconic, but it's a copied thing everywhere. Michael has a lot of weaknesses, but if you do a quick Google search, the most frequent answer was simply taking off his mask, which I feel like is simple but very intriguing. For that, I'm going to give him a 90. Yes, I know we've seen the whole take away a part of his costume and they're freaking out. I feel like Halloween has just been able to make it more interesting. Then obviously looks is next. I will say his costume isn't really that crazy with him using the blue coveralls and his mask, but I just feel like it's so classic you can't hate it. For that reason, I'm going to give him another 90. So for Michael Myers, his overall is going to be at 85. I know that's a little low for one of the greatest horror franchises. It's just the mode of killing that's holding him back from cracking the 90s. Next is Jason. While he is a fan favorite amongst most horror fans, he has a similar fate to Michael Myers. Jason is notorious for his stealth, just like Michael. For this, he is getting a 90, just like his counterpart. Jason's killing style mostly relies on stealth to get his victims without anybody really realizing he is there, most notably shown when he can kill many people in one house without anyone hearing him, while planting dead bodies everywhere without making a sound. But with his amazing stealth, he does have a kinda lame mode of killing. Yes, it's iconic just like Michael, but I feel like most Blade killings are kinda the same. So sadly, he is getting a 78. For his background, I think his is one of the more interesting ones. His mother thought he drowned in Crystal Lake at age 11. Jason survived and became a hermit, living in the woods and feeding off plants, bugs, and animals. So I give him a solid 93. Jason has established that his weakness is water since he died by drowning. He is the only person I can remember ever being afraid of water, so for that, I'm giving him a 91. For looks, I have to give him a 90. The hockey mask with the old rotten clothes is just too classic for me. With that being said, his overall is a solid 88. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked horror content or short horror stories, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see me make some more classic horror villains overall, go ahead and leave a like.